Finding Fascinating People with Mr. Mario.
Here I am with my latest installment of Finding Fascinating People. We're celebrating El Dino's 80th birthday, 80 amazing years of love, learning, laughter.
Constant learning. I've even learned from you.
If you know anything about history, you know that in 1980 there was a huge hostage crisis, the Iran hostage crisis. My dean was the main negotiator. My dean is also in the who's who of politics. He's been vice president of Cummins
Engine Company.
That's right. He's also been the ambassador under President Carter in Algeria. You have been on the board of many businesses.
Paul Corporation, American Broadcasting Companies, Roman Haas Chemical Company, a lot of companies.
How many honorary degrees do you have?
I think 5.
That's awesome. We both come from Brooklyn. So let's go back to that. You know, we're going back to Brooklyn probably in 1930s, right?
Yeah, I was born in 1931 at the height of the Depression. I'm an only child, and all my friends from that generation are only children because families didn't have enough money to have more than one kid. I grew up in Bed-Stuy.
Do or die? Did they call it do or die Bed-Stuy back then?
No. No, because when I was there, Bed-Stuy was a neighborhood in transition. There were as many white families living in Bed-Stuy as there were families of color.
What set you on the road less traveled? From anyone in your neighborhood?
First of all, my family were immigrants to this country. They came from Barbados. And like many immigrants, certainly like the Jewish immigrants from Europe, immigrants from Nazi Germany, they felt that the only way for them to make it as a family in this country was through education. And where they were too old, they figured, to go to high school or college, they were determined that I was going to have these benefits. There was never any question in their minds that I was not going to go to college.
But how did you get into Amherst?
My father, he was a clerk in the Mobil Oil Companies. It was called Saccone Mobil at that time. And the company had been founded by the Pratt family as well as the Rockefellers. My dad worked in the office for a Frederick Pratt. One day Fred Pratt asked my father, well, how's your son doing? And I said, Dad very proudly said, he's graduating from high school. And Mr. Pratt said, where's he going to college? And my dad said, oh, maybe Brooklyn College, or if we can afford it, maybe Howard University. And Mr. Pratt looked at me and said, oh no, he's going to Amherst College. Now, what I didn't know and what my dad didn't know was that the major donors to major benefactors of Amherst College was the Pratt family.
You were in. There goes your difference of one, huh?
You're absolutely right. Tuition, room, and board at that time for a year, would you believe it, was $1,250.
What? No, I don't.
But it was $1,250 which we didn't have as a family. Because, you know, my dad was just making $7,000 as a clerk.
Something like that? What did you do at
I was on the varsity fencing team. I was a 3-weapon champion in New England.
You know what? I never knew that.
Well, you never asked me. The most important thing was it was at Amherst that I learned about horses, because I got a job to have some cash on my own. I started out, you know, shoveling horse manure, cleaning out the stables, and then the riding master took me under his wing and he said, okay, I'll teach you all I know about riding for free, just because you seem to like horses. I even competed in horse shows. I'll never forget one at Smith College, an all-girls college.
Oh, I'm sure you enjoyed that.
Oh, I enjoyed that. And I was playing to the gallery, but I wasn't paying enough attention to my horse and the jumps. And at the last jump, my horse sensed that I wasn't paying attention, and as he approached the jump at a gallop, he just stopped short, and I took the jump, went sailing over his head. And by the way, at Amherst, I also got into acting. When they produced Hamlet, I played the ghost of Hamlet's father, heavily made up in gray makeup, so no one could tell what my race was. But the director of the theater never cast me in a servant role or anything like that. and I thank him for that to this day. He went on to become the dean of the Yale School of Drama, which is one of the best in the country.
Okay. And that's where you went to. That's where you went to law school.
That's where I went to law school, and I continued to act in the Yale School of Drama student productions while I was studying law.
Amazing.
It was just great.
What's the transition? Like, how did you get into life of politics, and how do you wind up becoming an ambassador? You know?
Well, when I graduated from law school, I was in business living in Iran, and the White House. I got a call from the White House asking me if I'd be interested in an ambassadorship, and I said, well, yes, but where? And they said Algeria, and I nearly fell out of my seat.
And we're talking about the 1980 Iran hostage crisis.
Right. I was part of the team of negotiators, and it was a very important event because it was one of the few American diplomatic initiatives that succeeded. In other words, we got the hostages back.
No one was killed?
Every one of them. No one was killed, and we paid nothing for it.
So now you are in Florida. You just finished. You just wrapped up your last company that you're gonna be on the board on. So you have no more commitments. You're done teaching in school. Now what's the next chapter?
I'm writing a book on my experience with racism here at home and around the world, because the equivalent exists all around the world. So in Africa, it's called tribalism. In Yemen, it's called tribalism. In the Middle East, it's religious conflict. But the equivalent of racism is something that I've had to deal with all my life. I'd like to put it all into a book and share it with anyone who is interested in that phenomenon, because it's not beyond us. It's not past yet.
You think it's definitely still alive today?
It's alive and well. It's even alive and well in places where it's reputed not to exist.
Like where?
Brazil. I'll give you an example. Obama and his wife made a state visit to Brazil. They had an honor guard. No blacks. None of the important political leaders they met in Brazil was a person of color, or a person who would acknowledge his color. Because a lot of them are people who, in this country, would be considered light-skinned black.
There you go. One of the most fascinating people in the United States, my good friend, Ambassador Ulric Haynes. Ya tú sabes, pasa afuera.